Hi, it's Dave Parody of ThinkOutsideTheSlide.com. Today I want to talk about another method that I have discovered or developed for using Excel graphs in PowerPoint. Now, typically we think about copying and pasting. So if I have this Excel waterfall chart that I've created here, I've got it all formatted, I simply select it, Control C copy, go to PowerPoint. If I hit Control V to paste it, then it pastes it as a link. Now, the problem with that is if it's linked and you don't have access to it, it becomes a problem when you want to actually edit it in PowerPoint. So what sometimes I've suggested in the past, often I've said, well, just go to the paste, drop that down. And here, let me just zoom in here. Notice here it says this option uses the destination theme and embed workbook. Now that sounds like a good idea, embedding the workbook. That brings all the data in to PowerPoint. That's the problem. It brings all the data, everything in the workbook, not just the cells for the chart, but this entire Excel workbook with every worksheet in it. So that makes the file really large, the PowerPoint file really large. Here's the other thing that I've noticed. In the last few years, that functionality often doesn't work properly. And I'm not sure, I've been talking to the PowerPoint development team about it, but there seems to be some reason that it often will try to do it as a link that's broken, and then you don't have the data and you don't have an actual link. So what I've discovered is that there's a way that we can do this where we bring in not just the data to create the PowerPoint chart, because again, another option is you create the chart in PowerPoint, just simply copy the data, create the PowerPoint chart, ready to go. But what if you want the formulas? Why would you want the formulas? Because you want to be able to adjust, edit that PowerPoint chart in PowerPoint without having to go back to Excel. So what I'm going to suggest we consider doing is to create a chart worksheet in Excel that we are then going to copy all of the cells. So not just the cells that are going to create the chart, but all of the calculational cells as well, and copy those into our PowerPoint chart. This allows us to have all of the formulas, everything that's going to create the chart in PowerPoint, which we can edit. And it's easy to update. So where do we start? Well, we start with prototyping our chart in Excel, which is what you see me do here. So I am creating this waterfall chart for our expense report in Q3. What was our forecast? What happened to increase the expenses? What happened to decrease the expenses? And then our final actual. So it explains the difference between forecast and actual. Really typical type of graph that we have to create in a financial report. And so what I've done is I've created this worksheet in a very specific way. The top left corner is only those cells that are creating the chart. And in this case, what I'm doing is I am not actually creating the chart from the Excel chart from those cells. I'm creating it from the cells down here. The ones that I'm using to, do all those calculations, figure it out, how's it going to work, adjust it, those sorts of things. And then up in the top left, you'll notice the formula here simply just refers to the cell down below. So A29 just is this label forecast. So what I've done is I've created the top left corner. Why? Why do I organize it this way? Because in PowerPoint, they expect the chart data to be starting in that top left corner with A1. So when we copy all these cells out of Excel, if they're not in that position, it's going to cause us a lot more work in PowerPoint. So the key is set up your Excel chart so that you do all of the import of data, you do all the calculations, any helper cells, calculating labels here as I've done, all that stuff, you do that below the cells that are going to be creating that chart in PowerPoint. So that top left corner is reserved for the cells to create the chart. And so I've only got these cells here. That's what I'm going to create the chart with. So now how do I do this in PowerPoint? So let me go over to PowerPoint here. And let me make this a little bigger for us so we can see it. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert, and let me zoom in here. So I'm going to insert a chart, and I'm going to insert the chart type that I need for the one that I'm creating. So this is a waterfall chart. We create that with a stacked column chart. So I say I want a stacked column chart, use the default, and just simply go down and click OK. Now, what does PowerPoint do? PowerPoint goes and creates a default stacked column chart. Whatever chart type you type, it has the default there, and it uses some sample data. It has to do this because otherwise, how is it going to know what data to put in there? And so it gives you this sort of mini Excel version here where it's showing you the data, and you can type that in if you want. But here's the key thing. In this mini, let me zoom in here. In this mini, you'll see this icon here. Let me put my cursor over it. Edit data in Microsoft Excel. This is the button we want to click. Why? Because when we click it, what happens is it opens full Excel. Now it opens this tiny window. Sorry, we've got to make it bigger. So it opens this Excel window, and you know it's for the PowerPoint chart because let's look at the top of the window here. It says chart in Microsoft PowerPoint. It doesn't give you a file name. It's chart in Microsoft PowerPoint. That's what we want to make sure. So now we have full Excel. And with full Excel, we can copy and paste, and it keeps the formulas. See, in the mini Excel, if we did copy and paste, what it does is it converts everything to values, and we lose all the formulas. So all the calculations of whether it's a positive or negative, different series, all that sort of stuff goes away because there are no formulas anymore. But when we open it in full Excel, we keep formulas. So I'm going to go to my Excel sheet here. I'm going to copy all the cells that I need down to here. Control-C, copy. Now come back. And in my top left corner, again, remember, has to be from the top left, I'm going to do the regular Control-V paste. Now, when I do that, notice that what it does is it puts in all the formulas. See, here it has that A29 reference. So that's exactly what I want. All the formulas are there. Awesome. This is perfect. Now, let's go and close our original Excel. We don't want to get confused on there. It's probably going to say, hey, there's a lot of info on the clipboard. We can just say, no, we don't need that anymore. Now let me move this over. Let's go to PowerPoint. And oh my gosh, what is all this? Well, again, remember, it thinks everything you pasted in is part of the chart, when in fact, that's not the case. So what we want to do is we'll select the chart in PowerPoint, and on the chart design ribbon, I'm going to go to select data. And in the select data dialog box, it opens up the Excel sheet. If you didn't have it open already, it says, hey, where is the data? So you notice here it says chart data range, and notice it's picked from that top left corner all the way down. That's not what we want. So what I'm going to do is, and you'll notice the dashed green rectangle here is showing what's included in the chart. So I'm just going to use my cursor. I'm not going to click in any fields. I'm just going to use my cursor, and I'm going to select the cells that I want it to use to create the chart, which are these cells here, and click OK. Notice now in PowerPoint, everything is exactly the way I want it to be. All the rest of the cells are still in this chart data area, but it's not trying to use them to create the chart. Now, all I have to do is to go ahead and format this chart the way I want it to be. So I'll go ahead and close the Excel window here, and I'll just go ahead and change the series type here because this is the line for the labels. Change that to a line. This is kind of standard stuff that I do with most of when I create a waterfall chart. So format that. Make the spacers invisible. Again, this tutorial is not about the creating of a waterfall chart. I'm just doing this quickly here so I can get what we need. And this, say no outline. Okay, so now I have to add the data labels. And I'm going to say I need more options because I want to select the value from the cells. Because remember, I created those specific labels formatted with the dollar signs, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to say value from cells. And when I check that box, it has to open up that chart data area again. So I'm going to select the cells here, click OK. And that's done. Now I can close this I don't need the value, and I want them to be the center. Let's uncheck the value there again. Now I can just get rid of the legend, the grid lines, and if I wanted to make these wider again, usually I do, I'll just set that gap width. So what I've done, and again, if you wanted to change the title, that sort of stuff. So what I've done is I've created this chart in PowerPoint. This is a PowerPoint chart. So I have all of the animations, everything I want within PowerPoint, and it's editable because the data is actually in PowerPoint. It's not in Excel. So let's say next month I come in, I want to change something, or the boss wants something changed last minute. I can click on the chart. When I go to chart design, when I go to edit the data, what I want to do is I don't want to click on the icon up here. I want to click on the drop down and say edit the data in Excel. Because what that does is it opens up that full Excel experience. Again, tiny window, so I'm going to have to make that bigger. And I don't have to change any of the cells up here in the top left because, again, remember, it's all being driven from the data that I got from my analysis, all of my calculations down here. So let's say next quarter our forecast was 2550. So I'm going to type in 2550. Now, of course, I could paste these numbers in from the analysis sheet if I wanted to do that. I'm just going to type it in to make it easy here. And notice how when I change that number, everything changed in the Excel sheet because it's all calculated, it's all driven by the data. And because up top here, it's driving what is shown on the chart, everything changed in the chart. This allows you to have all of the data for your chart, all of the formulas for your chart in your PowerPoint file. And when you create your PowerPoint chart this way, you give yourself additional flexibility. It's not just copying data in, but it's copying data and formulas. And I think this is going to turn out to be a better solution for many people. It's certainly better than the linking because the linking, that default Control-C, Control-V, that links from PowerPoint back to your Excel chart, that can cause problems when that link isn't going to work. It's on a different system somewhere. The embed the workbook into PowerPoint, again, I think the method I've shown you in this video is superior because, first of all, it does not embed the entire workbook. You have a much tighter, more compact PowerPoint file. You don't expose any additional information that might be in other tabs in the workbook, and it doesn't suffer from that issue that we've been seeing in the last few years where that function just doesn't work properly, it breaks. So use this method of copying both Excel data and formulas into a PowerPoint chart, into that chart in Microsoft PowerPoint Excel area. Use that to create your chart in PowerPoint that gives you additional functionality, additional ability to edit, and makes it much more flexible for you now and in the future. If you found this video helpful, please just click on that subscribe button. Make sure you get notified of the new videos that come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.